ॐ भूर्भुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaskar, my dear friends. This is third video on Swami Ramsukhdasji Maharaj's Sadhaka-Sanjivani commentary. This third video starts with first chapter of Gita. Sri Hari first chapter introduction. After the expiry of 12 years of exile and residing in an unknown place for 1 year, the Pandavas demanded half of their kingdom from Duryodhana, as was his promise, but he refused to give even as much land as could be covered by the point of a needle without waging war. The Pandavas sought permission from their mother Kunti and accepted the challenge of a war. After this decision, both the Kauravas and Pandavas began preparation for it. Says Vedavyasa had given affection for Dhritarashtra, the blind king of Hastinapura. Due to his affection, he said to Dhritarashtra, war and massacre of the Kshatriyas is inevitable. If you want to see the scene of the battlefield, I can endow you with divine sight so as to enable you to see scene of war from the place you are sitting. Dhritarashtra said, I have been blind all my life. Now I don't want to see the slaughter of my own kith and kin, but I want to hear the details of the war. Then says Vyasa said, I endow Sanjay with this divine sight by which he will know, hear, and see not only the incidents of the battlefield but also the ideas in the minds of the warriors and will narrate these to you. Saying so, says Vyasa endowed Sanjay with the divine vision. The battle started on the battlefield of Kurukshetra at the appointed hour. Sanjay stayed in the battlefield for 10 days. When Bhishma, being badly wounded with arrows, fell off the chariot, Sanjay conveyed the message to Dhritarashtra, who at that time was in Hastinapur. Hearing this news, Dhritarashtra was filled with great sorrow and started to cry. Then he asked Sanjay to narrate to him all the details of the war up to the 24th chapter of the Bhishma Parva section. Sanjay narrated the incidents of the war. At the beginning of the 25th chapter, Dhritarashtra asks Sanjay, in the Mahabharata, there are 18 sections. In those sections, there are several subsections. In the Bhishma section, there is this Bhagavad Gita, a subsection which begins with the 13th chapter of the Bhishma section and ends with the 42nd chapter. So, Dhritarashtra asks Sanjaya, chapter 1, now first verse starts. धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्म अक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेता युयुत्सवः मामका पांडवाश्च वै किं कुर्वतः संजय. O Sanjay, assembled at the holy field of Kurukshetra, eager to fight, what did my sons and sons of Pandu do? Comment. Dhritarashtra Kurukshetri. In Kurukshetra, the gods performed holy sacrifice. King Kuru also performed penance there. Thus, being saturated with a spiritual atmosphere, the field of Kurukshetra has been called the field of righteousness, Dharam Akshetra. Here by the word Akshetra in Dharmkshetra and Kurukshetra, Dhritarashtra means to say that this is the land of the Kurus. This is not merely a battlefield but a land of pilgrimage in which human beings by performing holy actions can attain benediction in this life. Therefore, by consulting noble persons, this land has been chosen for both mundane and ultra mundane benefits. In this world, generally, there are three root causes of disputes with land, wealth, and women. Out of these three, the kings primarily fight for land, hence there is the significance of the name Kurukshetra. Here in the Kuru family, the sons of Dhritarashtra as well as those of Pandu are included. Therefore, both of them have an equal claim over the land of Kuru. Within the dialogue between Vasampayana and Janmejaya, there is the dialogue between Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, and within the dialogue between Dharam, Dhritarashtra and Sanjaya, there is the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna. Sanjaya was born of Gavalgana. He possessed knowledge and righteousness like sages. He was Dhritarashtra's minister. So both of them have equal claim over the land of Kuru, but the Kauravas refused to give the Pandavas their share of land, so war between them becomes inevitable. Though the word Kurukshetra is fair and justified because the land belongs to both the cousin groups, yet Indian culture is so unique that righteousness is given top priority in it. Therefore, even an action such as war is performed on the field of righteousness, a land of pilgrimage, so that the warriors may attain salvation. Therefore, the word Dharmakshetra has been used along with Kurukshetra here. There is one more point which needs attention. In the first verse of the first chapter of the Gita, the first word is Dharma, and in the last verse of the 18th chapter, the last word is Mama. Therefore, if Dhar is taken from the first word and Ma from the last word, the word becomes dharma, righteousness. Therefore, the whole of the Gita comes within righteousness, which by following the path of righteousness, the principles of the Gita are followed, and by discharging one's duty according to doctrines of the Gita, the path of righteousness is followed. From these words, Dharmakshetra, Kurukshetra, all of us should know that all actions should be performed by following the path of righteousness. Every action should be performed not with a selfish motive but for the welfare of all, and the scriptures should be the authority in determining what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. Gita 16th chapter 24th stanza. Samveta Yuyutsvaha. Duryodhana did not accept the peace negotiations despite repeated proposals from many kings. Nay, when Lord Krishna came to intervene as a mediator, Duryodhana bluntly refused to part with even as much land as could be covered by the point of a needle. Without waging a war, Maharashtra Uddhog. Thus Pandavas had no alternative but to fight. Thus the two groups assembled to fight for their right. Though the two groups assembled to fight, yet Duryodhana had a keener desire for war in order to usurp the kingdom by fair means or foul, just means or unjust, which by hook or crook. Thus his side was very keen to wage a war. The Pandavas had the virtue of righteousness on their side. For the sake of justice, they were prepared to face any hardship, knowing the deadly consequences of a war. Yudhishthira did not want to indulge in it, but as by obeying their mother the five Pandavas had married Draupadi, Yudhishthira by obeying his mother became willing to fight. Thus Duryodhana and the members of his group were eager to fight for usurping the kingdom, while the Pandavas were compelled to fight for righteousness. Mama kaha Pandavaha the Pandavachava. Pandavas regarded Dhramrashtra, being the elder brother of their father, as their father and obeyed his order, whether it was just or unjust. Therefore, here the word Mamkaha includes both the Kauravas and the Pandavas, but the word Pandava has been mentioned separately because Dhritarashtra was not fair and just to the Pandavas. He was not impartial. He had partiality for his sons. So the word Mamkaha has been used for his sons, while Pandava has been used for the sons of Pandu. This note, Kunti, the mother of five Pandavas, was very forbearing. She had a unique personality. She did not desire worldly pleasures and kingdom. She asked Lord Krishna to grant her the boon of adversity. But there were two things which always pinched her. The first of them was that villains such as Duryodhana, etc., wanted to make her beloved daughter-in-law naked in the assembly. This insulting, hateful, and inhuman behavior pained her very much. Secondly, when Lord Krishna, on behalf of the Pandavas, went to Hastinapura with a proposal of conciliation, Duryodhana, Dusasana, Karna, and Sakuni, etc., wanted to arrest him. Hearing this incident, Kunti thought that those villains should be killed, otherwise their increasing sins would lead them to damnation. It was because of these two factors that Kunti ordered her sons the Pandavas to fight. Though the term Kaurava included both Duryodhana, etc., the sons of Dhritarashtra as Yudhishthira, etc., the sons of Pandu, yet in this verse Dhritarashtra has used the term Pandava for Yudhishthira, etc., so the term Kaurava stands for Duryodhana, etc. Dhritarashtra had a partial outlook because he thought that Duryodhana, etc., were his sons, while Yudhishthira, etc., were Pandu's sons. So he never checked Duryodhana from committing evil deeds such as poisoning Bhima and throwing him into the water, trying to burn the Pandavas alive in the house made of lac, gambling with Yudhishthira by foul means, sending an army to the forest to destroy sons of Pandu. Thus his feelings find expression in his speech. It was because of his partial attitude that he had to suffer the torture of the destruction of his family. Therefore, every human being should learn a lesson that he should not be partial to members of his house, street, village, province, country, and sect, because partiality leads to conflict rather than love and goodwill. The term Eva, also with the term Pandava, has been used to point out the fact that the Pandavas should not have waged war because they were righteous to the core, but they also came to the battlefield to wage war. So, what did they do there? Mamkaha and Pandavaha. Sanjay will explain the word Mamkaha from the 2nd to the 13th verses to Dhritarashtra. Seeing the army of the Pandavas, his son Duryodhana told Dronacharya the names of the chief generals of the Pandava army in order to cause hatred in his mind against the Pandavas. After that, Duryodhana named the principal warriors of his army. praised their skill in warfare. In order to please and cheer up Duryodhana, Bhishma blew his conch loudly. Hearing the sound of his conch, the conch and triumphs, etc., of the Kauravas' army blared forth. Then from the 14th to 19th verses, Sanjay explained the word Pandava as was asked by Dhritarashtra. He says Krishna, a supporter of the Pandavas, seated in a chariot, blew his conch after him. Arjuna, Bhima, Yudhishthira, Nakula, and Sahadeva, etc., also blew their conchs. The terrible sound of those conchs rent the hearts of army of Duryodhana. After that, Sanjay, while talking about the Pandavas, starts the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna from the 20th verse only. The Pandavas and so on. The reason was that Dhritarashtra had the feeling that somehow or the other, if the Pandavas were killed, his sons would rule over the whole empire. Describe, Describing Mamka and Pandava separately, Sanjay uses the words Duryodhana and Pandavaha. Kim Kurvata. Kim has three meanings: doubt, reproach, blame, and question. The incident of the war cannot be doubted because after 10 days of fighting, when Bhishma fell off the chariot, Sanjay conveyed the message to Dhritarashtra at Hastinapura. There cannot be reproach, blame also because Dhritarashtra did not blame his sons and the Pandavas for the war when the war was already going on. Therefore, Kim means a question here. Dhritarashtra questions Sanjay to relate him all the incidents in detail and in sequence so that he may understand them properly. Appendix: My sons Namkaha and Pandu's sons Pandavaha. This distinction caused attachment aversion which led to war and commotion stir. The result of Dhritarashtra's attachment aversion was that all the 100 Kauravas were killed while even a single Pandava was not killed. As gruel is churned, a stir is caused in it by which butter is extracted. Similarly, the stir caused by the distinction between my sons Mamkaha and Pandu's son Pandavaha caused yearning for benediction in Arjuna's mind, by which butter in the form of the Gita came into light. It means that commotion produced in Dhritarashtra's mind caused war, while the commotion produced in Arjuna's mind revealed the Gita. Link. Then Sanjay answers his question. Sanjay Uvach. दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवनिकीं व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्ता आचार्येमुपसंगयः राजा वचन ब्रवीत्. At that time, seeing the army of the Pandavas drawn up in battle array approaching, Dronacharya Prince Duryodhana spoke the following words. This is verse number 2 of first chapter. Comment: Tada means the time when both the armies were arrayed, and Dhritarashtra was very much anxious to hear the account of the battlefield. 2. Dhritarashtra put the question about his sons and the sons of Pandu, so Sanjay uses the word to tell Dhritarashtra first about his sons. Drishtva Pandavanikam Vyudham. It means that the army of the Pandavas were arrayed in good order, which the warriors had no difference in their opinion. Righteousness and Lord Krishna were in their favor. Therefore, the Pandavas, though fewer even in number, had greater impact. Seeing their army arrayed, Duryodhana was also influenced, so he, approaching Dronacharya, spoke prudent and serious words. Raja Duryodhana. Duryodhana was called Raja the king because Dhritarashtra had the greatest attachment and affection for Duryodhana. Moreover, Duryodhana was the prince. He looked after the affairs of the empire, while Dhritarashtra was only the nominal head. Duryodhana was the main cause of the warfare also. It was because of all those factors that he was called king by Sanjay. In this chapter, the term Drashtva has been used three times. Seeing the Pandavas' army, Duryodhana approaches Dronacharya. Seeing the Kaurava army, Arjuna lifts his arrow. Seeing his kith and kin, Arjuna is filled with extreme passion. In the first two cases, the term Drashtva has been used for seeing the army, while the third time it has been used for seeing the kith and kin, which changes Arjuna's feeling. There was a difference of opinion in the Kaurava army because Duryodhana and Dushasana etc. wanted to wage the war, but Bhishma, Drona and Vikarna did not want, and there is a rule that where there is difference in opinion, their vigor subsides. Acharya Mampusa Gamya. It seems that there were three reasons why Duryodhana approached Dronacharya. Number one, he went for his selfish interest so that he could arouse ill will in Dronacharya's heart against the Pandavas, and Dronacharya might be specially partial to his army. Number two, it was proper on his part to go to Dronacharya to express his regard for him because he was his preceptor. Number three, it is very significant for the chief warrior not to leave his position, otherwise the whole order of the army is disturbed. So it was proper on the part of Duryodhana to go to Dronacharya. Here a question may be raised that Duryodhana should have first of all approached Bhishma because Bhishma was the commander supreme. Then why did he approach Dronacharya? The answer is that Drona and Bhishma both loved the Pandavas and the Kauravas, but Drona had special kindness and love for Arjuna. Moreover, Duryodhana had a pupil-preceptor relationship with Drona, but he had no family relationship with him. Therefore, it was proper on his part to go to Drona to please him. In practical life also, it is seen that a man for his selfish interest tries to please a person who is not closely related to him by offering him regard. Duryodhana thought that Bhishma was his grandfather, so it was easy to please him even if he was displeased because of his family relationship. So Bhishma also loved him very much. Bhishma below his conch loudly to please and cheer up Duryodhana. Vachanamam Bharvitah. Here it was sufficient to use the word Ambravit spoke, which also includes Vachanam words, so there was no need to use the word Vachanam. Even then, the term Vachanam has been used, which shows that Duryodhana spoke prudent and meaningful words in order to arouse ill will in Dronacharya's heart against the Pandavas and to win his favor so that he could fight wholeheartedly on the Kauravas' side and they would gain victory. Thus, the term Vachanam was used with a selfish motive. So, I end this video here. Next video number 4, I will start with verse number 3 of chapter 1 of Gita. Namaskar my dear friend, thank you for watching this video. Please like, comment and share the video and subscribe the channel. Thanks a lot. Namaskar.